I guess we can start. So hello everyone, my name is Andrei. I'm a UX UI designer from Chill Labs, and we're happy to announce the start of our fourth product design meetup. So today we'll have two speakers. The first one is Max. He's a product designer at Flo, and the second one is Agnes. She's a head of design at Printful. So to start with, why we even decided to resume our product meetups. First of all, we want to share knowledge. We want to bring the best designers in the world in one room and to help them to share their ideas and experience to create the best design solutions globally. Secondly, we want to create a design community. So we want to help passionate and enthusiastic designers to share their ideas by designers who care about UX, product, marketing, design, and who want to make their users happier every day. Now let me take a minute and tell you a bit more about organizers of this meetup, Chill Labs. We provide the full range of mobile application development, starting from backend, design, development, testing, even management. And Chill Labs is considered as the first mobile application development company in the Baltics, according to Clutch. Our team is growing fastly, so we are always looking for new talents. And if someone of you want to try himself in creating mobile applications, or you even know somebody who wants to do so, you can always find open vacancies on our website, which is chilllabs.io/career, or you can always find the link and QR code on the roll-up, which is on the left side of me. Yeah, so the first speaker is Max. Let me tell you a bit more about Max. He has more than 11 years of experience working as a product designer. He was working at Fitbit, which has over 30 million of active users. And currently he is working as a product designer in Flo, the first women's health platform. And his topic will be how they designed Flo app for Android smartwatches. And in the end, you will have an opportunity to ask Max his topic-related questions, and he has a gift for the best question, so listen carefully.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me well? Yeah, because we without speakers. Okay, hope you're doing well despite the weather. Best time to gather together and discuss some design things. So yeah, I'm a product designer at Flo Health, and today I'm going to share how we approached design for Android smartwatches. By this case, I'd like to share not only the result or some visual design of the smartwatches app, but also the process and how we approach design in general at Flo. So yeah, let me start, and just quick note. I hope everyone who's here know about Flo. At least you should have Googled it before the meetup. So yeah, we are #1 period and cycle tracking app with a big monthly audience. And previously, we didn't have any application for Android smartwatches. We did have for Apple Watch. We did have mobile app for Android smartphones and iOS, but unfortunately not for smartwatches powered by Android. And we decided to fix it. So our main goal was to launch this kind of the app to fill in the gap in user experience, partially Android user experience. Also, we knew that Google was going to launch new Wear OS 3.0 update, so we wanted to use this and to create our new application based on this new updated Wear OS version. Overall process. Maybe somebody knows what is that, what the shape or something. Double diamond, right? So this is overall process how we're trying to work on different projects inside Flo. Not every project requires to go through the whole process in this particular way. This is just one of the approaches you can go through creating thoughtful design solutions. So we used this one. Basically, this means that we went through two main stages: research and design by itself. On the research stage, we were trying to understand the topic, our users who are going to use our app on smartwatches. We were trying to understand what exactly we need to design to make it real app and to make it in time. And on the second part, when it comes to design, it comes to designing it right. So how to make sure we are doing right things, how to make sure our users understand what we are designing, and so on and so forth. So how it started? Imagine one of my favorite first phases to kick off the project. Canvas, something like that. It is called feature canvas. Also, you might find something similar called lean canvas or whatever other canvas to kick off the project. The main idea having this exercise is to combine all of the knowledge we have at the beginning, combine all of the inputs from stakeholders, to understand what we are building, who are our users, at least what we know about our users at this moment, at the beginning. What are our business goals, and what we know currently, what we have, and what we don't know about our users, about our process, and so on and so forth. So this small exercise, for sure, you have to complete not alone as a designer, but together with the team, especially with the product team. So at least including product manager, UX researcher, UX writers, whatever you have in your team. So one of the ideas we came during this first phase, that we need to know more about our users who are using smartwatches. There were two main ideas. First of all, to know in general more about how people use their smartwatches, for what purpose, what needs, what they expect while using smartwatches. And on the other hand, we are expecting to get some information about using smartwatches plus cycle tracking. So during this first research and discovery, we got this information. So for example, some of the key takeaways, key advantages of using smartwatches were it is always on your wrist. It has glanceable info right on your wrist. It has notifications. Some processes are automated with the help of smartwatches. So this helped us to start. And then we moved to thinking about user jobs, user needs. At this point, we grouped our users into three main groups. It is what we have in the app in general, three main modes: for track users who are just tracking their cycle, trying to conceive users who want to conceive, and pregnancy users. Combining information from the discovery phase plus what we know about all of those three groups, we came up with a number of user jobs for each user group. Important thing that it might seem, so why we are doing this in general, some users might be too similar between each other, but still having different goals inside the app while using the app. They might have different needs, different motivation, and so on. So for example, comparing track users versus trying to conceive users, they both have, let's say, information about chances for being pregnant at the moment. But those groups using this information differently. First one, mostly to avoid pregnancy, for sure. And the second group to conceive. So this is just an example of differences in these user jobs. Then we came to ideation stage. At this stage, the main idea generally to come up with so many ideas as you can. Brainstorm those ideas. The main takeaway for us doing such exercises like brainstorming ideas around some topic is having more wide team, not only product people like product designers, product managers, or UX researchers, but also it might be useful to include developers and QAs for sure, because they have their own perspective at the product, at the development of the product. They might bring valuable things about restrictions, limitations, technical limitations we might face during development. Also taking into account, for sure, how it always happen, time limits, capacity limits, all of that might be helpful. So yeah, we came up with whole team with developers, product people, and brainstormed a lot of ideas, just everything what comes into our mind. Next stage was about prioritization of the ideas, and for sure we need to somehow filter all of those sometimes crazy ideas. So prioritization works with the help of a couple of axes, like is it easy to build or not? Is it really valuable for users or not? Next, we came to information architecture. Talking to information architecture on the watches, it has main difference from the phone apps, because, as I said at the beginning, users expect having some glanceable info. They are not expecting spending too much time on their watch, completing some difficult tasks, looking for some specific information. So this is while you are building an app for watch, for smartwatch, you have to take into account a couple of ideas, like design only for critical tasks. So just think what's the most important thing, what's the most important and valuable feature you have, and bring it first to the watch. And the second is optimized to the wrist. So even having such cases, like, yeah, okay, we decided what's the most important, but still it might be difficult to accomplish the task on the watch. So you need to think how you can simplify this valuable action to make it really useful and useful using on a watch. So what we have, user scenarios based on discovery phase, user core jobs and needs, based on architecture principles, we came up with user scenarios. As you can see, they're not so difficult. Just a couple of simple branches, because it is watch, just a couple of simple branches with the most valuable actions, like viewing my cycle information and have the ability to log when period starts or when I feel something, like login symptoms. And when we created the very first prototype, there was a question how to test it. At that moment, we were creating our prototypes using Protopy tool. Currently, it supports creating prototypes for Android smartwatches. So you can create prototype which you can launch on the watch and test it with users. But previously it wasn't possible. So we decided to go with an idea like that. So it was mobile phone prototype with a watch mock inside, and the design, was scrollable, actionable for sure inside, so users could interact with that, could complete some actions. This is why we decided to put this small back label on here, just to make it more obvious how to get back on your phone, but inside the watch. Interesting takeaway about that despite we were testing watch experience on the phone, still it was useful to test. Still we got useful feedback about what we tested and what we created. For sure, it is not the same, because experience not the same like holding your phone or looking at your wrist. It's a bit different for sure. But still we got pretty valuable information about our first release. Here is how the first version of the design looked like. So some crucial info at the top, like a cycle status, quick actions to log symptoms and period, calendar, predictions, and activity fitness information. So from the users, from this first prototype in phone, we got valuable insights about what is most valuable, what is not, what users expect to have, what we might skip for now, for the first release at least. What is clear, what is not. So for example, first part was expected at all. Because we have similar experience on the inside mobile phone app. Second part with the buttons wasn't clear for users because there were just two icons without any wordings. Most of the users were confused with that. So ideally, we can go with a solution like that, but we have to take into account that it will take time for users to understand how it works. Sometimes it is crucial having this time. And what was surprising for us, maybe not surprising, but interesting as well, having insights about events inside their cycle. So, at the first, they see some current status, but also they were really interested to see what's next, what to expect next, let's say in the upcoming month. And some more interesting details, cards, using cards. You see some light gray background. So this design solution using cards to distinguish each prediction item wasn't really good idea because it might seem that this card is actionable. So user might seem that you can tap on it, you can expect some action tapping on it. But in our case, that was just a card. But when it comes to card on your watch, it might seem as an actionable item. So we had to fix it. So taking into account our capacity for implementing the idea, taking into account time, we have value of particular features. We came up with the following structure: current status, login period, so no login symptoms in the first version, cycle day, predictions, some automative data about activity and fitness. Login symptoms we decided to put as redirection, but if you tap on it, will open symptoms panel inside the mobile app. Not so easy to use, but taking into account all of the factors, we decided to go with a solution like that. All of the structure, we were building also based on the user needs and jobs, like core user jobs for us, like where am I in my cycle, how to know what to expect next, and so on, how to log period when it comes. So final design. This is design of the main watch app. This is one screen on 5 different watches. According to the structure: basic status, cycle day, prediction thing, activity, and log symptoms and settings. Now I will go a bit more details about some design solutions and how we made it. First of all, design system. Thankfully, we could reuse Android components and our existing design system components like fonts and color, and it worked pretty well for us. Except one important thing. As you might notice here, the design for watches, and for most of the cases, it uses black background. So it means you have to design for watch in a dark mode, not in a light mode, but in a dark mode. It is said about that in all of the guidelines, actually. At the same point, it's pretty logical idea to go with a black background just to make look your design more smooth on a wearable device, to make not so visible, these edges, screen edges. Dark mode. In our case, that almost wasn't an issue because our design system supports switching between light and dark mode. The only interesting thing that dark mode doesn't work on Android devices right now. So despite Android mobile app doesn't have dark mode, we had to design it and had to bring it, implement it on the smartwatches. But for the rest of the components, rest of the things like colors and even buttons, icons, we could reuse all of the existing design system. Another interesting trap we faced, sign-in flow. When you're using Apple Watches, how many of you, for example, have Apple Watch? Hands up, please. Just trying to measure. Android watches? Okay. So main difference. On the Apple Watch uses same client credentials as your phone uses. So once you install the app on your phone, you have it immediately on your watch, and you then don't have to sign in at all. So it's like automatically works and connects all of the devices. But Android smartwatch is a separate client with a separate logic. So it is possible to log in with a different account on your watch and on your phone. For sure, it is possible to connect and link same accounts and also to bring same logic as Apple Watch has, like to make it automatically without any effort. But still, for Android, you have to cover a lot of edge cases when something goes wrong. So for example, this is why we decided to bring this thing with generating one-time passwords, with additional buttons paired with phone. But ideally, if everything is just great, you can go straight to the auto linking all the apps and everything should work. This is whole structure, whole user flow for just signing in. So you remember, the scenario for core user needs is just like a couple of stickers. But for sign in, we had to create something like that. A lot of cases, a lot of scenarios, different problems on different stages. Sometimes you have to open your phone to accomplish this sign-in process. Yeah, that was challenging. And similar structure, but connecting your Android watch for Apple device. It is possible as well. Yeah, so it was like that. And line at the top is how it goes when everything is just fine, when everything works automatically. The rest, when you have some issues. Circle states. This is how our app actually looks on the phone. And circle, this big circle is like our key brand detail on the home page. So it is crucial for us to remain the thing inside the watches. So all of the states we redesigned just for watches. So same statuses, same wordings, but a bit different approach for designing it, taking into account this watch, and this is dark mode. But still, same statuses that users have on their mobile phones. As well for pregnancy mode, so similar. So we need to support all of that. Talking about the pregnancy mode, when we were launching this first release, we decided to focus more on the track users who just track their cycle, not pregnancy users. But still, we had to bring this functionality to make experience full and to prioritize what we need to put inside the mobile app. In this case, we just looked at core user needs and jobs we have for our pregnant users, like knowing my pregnancy week and know my due date, like the most important one at the beginning. So this is how we decided what exactly to put in this first release for pregnancy users. Okay, another important scenario for us was login period flow. Same, so we have this functionality for sure in the app, and we had to bring it to the smartwatches with some small difference. On the app, on the mobile app, When login, you can select any date, like it was yesterday, day before yesterday, and etc. But on the watch, taking into account capacity and time, taking into account value we might bring, for example, if we implement this ability to log for the past. Comparing this with what actually watches are built for, as I said at the beginning, like for providing glanceable info to support users right now, right at the moment. So we decided to simplify this logic a bit. This is why we went with the solution with login just for today. So you have it on a wrist. Okay, period started, so I can log it right now. So the main idea was like that, to decide how we should build it on the smartwatch. Another interesting thing about core experience predictions. We have it inside the mobile app, but it is hidden a bit inside, and mobile users focuses on a bit more different information inside the app. They have a bit more different needs, but watch users are about having and getting glanceable info, quick response. So they liked this thing with quick predictions, what to expect them in their cycle. So yeah, we developed this thing on the watch with some minor, not minor, but some changes with the logic, how we show those predictions. So how we did it, we created a timeline with taking into account possible user settings, taking into account possible phases, possible modes as tracking or pregnancy users, and created insights, those predictions insights, put them onto this timeline and just walked through all of the logic, deciding what we should show at each phase, at each particular day, in which order, and what insights might be useful today, which are not. So this is how we created the logic behind all of that. Just a quick step back. Yeah, and on the watch it looks like that. So just simple text prediction saying, hey, you will expect that. Talking about watch experience, worth mentioning that watches brings us additional ways of interacting with apps. So for example, they have this so-called complications. Complication is a small widget on a watch face, like a weather or calendar or some fitness metrics. So when you're developing something for smartwatches, you have to take into account also this thing. And we created for the first release as well this complication item. Again, just thinking about what we should bring here, what we should show here. We were thinking about our users and their needs, like where am I in my cycle. So this is why we decided to focus at first, only showing just cycle day and the progress inside that cycle. Yeah, another interesting thing, additional thing, it is called tiles on a smartwatches powered by Google. Basically, it is same widget, but it is bigger. It might be, you might open it swiping your watch face, so you have bigger space here. So basically, yeah, we can put basic information, expected information, plus some valuable actions and quick actions. In our case, the choice was simple. This is why just like a log period. So where am I in my cycle and log period, core to actions for us in this case. Results. So yeah, really successfully launched first release. We even got featured by Google during their presentation and on some parts inside stores in Play Market. Also, we fulfilled a gap inside user experience for Android users, creating additional experience for smartwatches. So overall, like everything just went fine. we succeeded. Everything was great. So thanks.
Thank you for sharing this awesome experience, Max. Guys, so now you are free to ask your questions, topic related. Yep.
Yeah, the first question, do you do it for money, or you just do you have some monetization in the watch experience as well, or it's just to improve UX?
For sure, all of we do is for money. Yes, this is how business works. No monetization in this particular experience. So no paywalls inside watch. What? So it's like a bit strange, maybe. So yeah, monetization is only inside the mobile app, not inside the watch.
Do you support only like circle-shaped watches?
Not really. Good question. Yes, that was a pain while designing this thing, because yeah, they have square and not only square. And at that moment, we understand why Apple decided to go with rectangle screens, because it's so amazingly easy to design everything for such a screen, comparing to circle. But most of the devices, Android smartwatches, are with the circle screens. So the main design was created for that, but also taking into account square screens, and we created a couple of design mocks for some of the screens in a square format as well.
Yep.
I was surprised that in the beginning it was so much canvases and so on, and did not function in double diamond, because which way or which approach are you using that you are getting active feedback from your users or customers, especially if you are in an ideation phase? Because most teams usually tend to have ideas themselves and spread it out to people they know, get some fancy feedback supporting, but it's like when they test it in the real life, it's clashing. So how do you get real feedback from real people, real users?
Yeah, I see. Understand the question. So in here we have two ways of getting such a feedback. First way is about user testing. So this is what I showed, for example, when we designed watches inside phones. So something like that. When we have some click hypothesis we'd like to test, we might create a prototype, test it with real users. It depends on the situation. So sometimes it might be moderated user testing session, sometimes not. But still, we're testing our hypothesis and ideas. Is it clear what is valuable, what is not? It helps to get real users' feedback. For sure, on the platforms like user testings, sometimes there are people who pretending be in some user group, but they're not. So yeah, we filter people like that for sure. But still, this helps to get some valuable early feedback. And then once we get this released or somehow implemented, we see numbers. So numbers, how many users installed, how many opened, how they're using. So with different analytics tools, influence on the retention, on engagement, monetization as well. So yeah, so on an early stage, like user testing feedback. On the late stage, mostly rely on numbers.
Okay, maybe someone else. Small reminder that you will receive a gift for the best question. Please.
My question is technical, but anyway, so have you had technical depth during your product design phases? And if so, how did you manage to handle it?
You're talking about overall designing process. Yeah, as for design, we have, in our case, it will be design that, right? We have something like that, and maybe as usual, we struggle with that as developers as well. So what we decided as a team, we created, for example, our own Jira board. one more Jira board for God of Jira. Yeah, and we decided to try this one. So we came together as a team, design team, came up with all of the ideas and that we have for the quarter, let's say. Then we prioritized that and decided and created kind of plan for a quarter, what we can accomplish during the quarter and what we cannot. And the main problem in here is just we have like a real tasks, real projects that require our attention at the moment. And as usual, we don't have, unfortunately, much time for technical things or that things. Yeah, just managing, like trying to persuade our product managers that we need at least like a couple of hours during the week for some things, some design things like working on a design system or something.
Maybe someone else? Two more. Can you, guy in the yellow shirt? Can you?
Do you have an Apple Watch application as well, or if so, did you overlap the learnings from there as well in the development of this one?
Yeah, nice question. We have it, yes, but there were a couple of buts. So it is quite old for now, so we haven't updated it for a while. So yeah, it looks a bit old and some functionality is not up to date. So since the very first release of Apple Watch happened, we went through lots of research, lots of learnings from our users. So at the moment we start in designing Android watches, we knew much more about our users and what they need. So this is why we can't rely fully on the Apple Watch experience we have previously. So yeah, as for designing this watch app, I could say that was from scratch mostly. So unfortunately, Apple Watch wasn't a reference for us in this case.
I have a very similar question.
So I have a question. It's more like about design research process. So as I understood, you did not create like personas or something like this. You didn't have like journey mapping, something. And so my question is that what's your opinion about nowadays usage of like personas, creating of personas, and is it really useful nowadays? Because a lot of information are provided online, and any question and any answer can be found online. So it's not like something like this.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned anything about personas or CGMs, but I think sometimes it's just about how you call it. So for example, I showed some user groups. For us, this is personas. So those user groups, we know everything about them, same as for personas, like their needs, motivations, pains, etc., etc. So I can call that those groups are personas for us. Yeah, just mainly we don't call them personas inside Flo, but still they are actually. Yeah, so at this point, the answer, yes, we're using them. Maybe just we're not calling them like that, but still we have some groups with clear distinguishing between each group and their focuses. And as for CGM as well, for this particular project, it was quite clear scenario, quite clear flow from the beginning till the end. And we might consider as a part of CGM working on information architecture plus scenarios. And in this particular case, it was enough for us. So enough just to think about stages, and that's it. Not thinking about description for each stage, like what users think, do, feel on each stage. That wasn't useful for us in this particular project. But for some projects, we do this. We still do. So we are not following some route all the time for all of the projects. So it really depends on what's going on, what we already know, what we don't know. Just an example, for example, when I was working on a pregnancy mode inside mobile app, so we created a big CGM, really big, really huge, with lots of stages, phases inside, and we created all together also with a medical team as well, so make it accurate enough. So we do such a things, but not for all of the projects.
Can you maybe develop a bit this idea of research? So this initial research, did you use some customer development or how you collect the data like in the early beginning?
Like a discovery phase.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, we have separate people called UX researchers. So they think they're paying, but not so simple as might seem. So we're still working as a team. So even when we're talking about what we have to discover during some initial research, we are discussing it all together with the product managers, designers, and UX researchers. So like we are thinking about what questions we have actually about our users. Sometimes we might use some canvas or approach, like customer development canvas or something. But yeah, we are not strictly following such rules. We just like mainly focusing on core questions and answers we need to get and hypotheses around. So yeah, this is how it works. So at the beginning, we just brainstorming what we'd like to know about our users, what we don't know for sure. Yeah, and then our UX research team helps us to prepare this research, to prepare questions, to moderate all of the process of conducting the research and asking people. Yeah, hope I answered. Okay.
These people, you get it from the existing customers or?
It depends. It depends on the feature. So some features require asking only new people, only new users. Some not. So it really depends on the case. Sometimes we use some combined approach. So we may ask a part of existing users, a couple of new users. It really depends. Yeah, sometimes it's a mix. Sometimes, as for watches, for example, we might ask users who use watches. We might ask something, for example, ask users who don't use any smartwatches. In this particular case, I don't think it makes any sense as for smartwatches, but still, it's just an example. So it is not so easy route to decide. And yeah, for each particular case, we are like discussing who exactly we'd like to ask. So basically, the idea behind is like whether we need users have some background about our app or about using cycle apps. What? Another question might be whether we need users to be like a specifically Flo users or just any cycle tracking user. It also depends.
Okay, maybe any other questions?
So my question is, how long does it take to make it all work? Because there are some things with biology, and you need to know biology to make this app work.
I see your point. I understand you. Yeah, so it takes much time. It is time consuming. That's true. So, but again, you can simplify some of the stages. So, for example, like as we were talking about CGMs, in some cases you don't need to go through all of the stages in detail. You just need to map overall process. Or as for user groups or personas, you can go through previous researches to find out some insights. Sometimes we might skip some steps for first release, for example. Sometimes we can go straight to design. It is not good, but still, sometimes it works. For some cases, it might be a really useful, valuable solution. Go straight to design, implement it and test it, and only then when go back to the initial stage at the first stage and go through the process once again. But it takes much time. For this project, I don't know, maybe from the beginning till the end, preliminary, half a year or something. Yeah, and it was fast.
Any other questions?
How many users you got to use this mobile watch application?
Oh, I see. I'm not sure I can share any numbers at all. So I had a discussion with the legal team. No numbers about anything. Some signs. The only number I can share, our monthly users, near 50 million of monthly active users. So users who use the app at least once a month. And recently we reached a milestone of 250 million unique users, like unique accounts inside the app. And for sure, portion of Android users might be a bit different from iOS users. Actually, I'm just thinking, is it the same or not? Not the same, definitely. And their willingness to pay different, for sure. And this is not a secret at all. So it's common knowledge about that. So trying to answer the question, I don't know exact number of people using the app and the smartwatch app. But for sure, you can imagine it this thing as a conversion, right? So you have many people at the beginning, then some people who installed Android mobile app, and some percentage of them who are using smartwatches.
Did you have a research how many people need this app?
Yeah, sure. So when we are creating something new from scratch, for sure we're investigating the impact, right? So we already know with the help of analytics team who working with numbers, we already know potential impact. So how many users will use it, whether it will bring us some profit and benefits. So we estimate things like that before creating something, because sometimes we have really great ideas about tiny improvements or something, and when it comes to numbers, we just no, it just we don't have to spend time on working on that, because the coverage, for example, coverage might be just 3,000, and you just too small amount of people to implement something, for example.
I want to know if the users that installed your application on the watch, did they start to use the overall application more? Did the engagement of the users increase after they started using your mobile application, the watch application?
Even not talking about exact numbers, I think in general it has impact, for sure. In general, the thing is that if user has some kind of wearable, they are more aware. They are, on average, more aware of their health, ready to pay more attention to their health habits, and etc. So and eventually this brings more engagement to the core app as well.